The show is made possible in part by its supporting sponsors: Blue Water Power Group of Companies, Joe's Discount Tire, and AskGuy.ca. I don't even know how to start this. We're just going to start.
Friends. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
This is like, we're going to call this take two.
Sure.
Right?
You guys don't need to know what happened before.
Nothing. Technology is wonderful.
Yep.
Right? We're here. Scott Manery, how you doing?
Great to see you again.
Yeah. Well, hey, I missed you. And to clarify, it's Manery. It's not Manery
right.
or Manamana or anything like that.
Yep. Yeah.
You get called, well, I know you get called a lot of things, but
yeah, true. And sometimes deservedly.
It's Manery.
Yeah, it's one of those funny last names that it's written like Manery, but it's pronounced Manery.
See, but I always thought if it was Manery, it would have two N's in it.
I don't know.
I guess. I know.
I was born with it. What do I know? Right? Yeah.
Do people get it wrong all the time?
Oh yeah, all the
time.
No, and you just politely correct people.
Yeah, right.
But there is an interesting picture of the original Manery farm up in Chesley.
Right.
So if you think about it, it should be written M-E-N. A-R-Y. Yeah. There's a old picture of the mailbox, and that's the way it was painted.
Oh, okay.
But we never actually did see Grandpa Manery's birth certificate, so
we're not really sure.
Yeah, it could be. No,
you're from Sarnia, though.
Yeah, born and raised.
Here.
Yeah. Dad left the farm, became a teacher. And actually, his first teaching job was up in Wyerton. Taught two of my aunts.
Oh, really?
And that's how my mom met my dad. My mom asked my dad to a Sadie Hawkins dance.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then, so Dad was teaching in a one-room schoolhouse. He was 18 years old.
Wow.
Stayed with a family just outside of Wyerton. And Glenn Beacock was about my dad's age. Also a teacher, but great fiddle player.
Oh, really?
So music was always a part.
Around.
Yeah. Yeah, Dad was a teacher, so left Wyerton and was either Guelph or Sarnia, and they came to Sarnia in the early 60s.
Right, and just stayed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. I forget the first school that he taught at, but he was at Lansdowne for like 17 years, then at Clark, he retired from there.
So then would a lot of your friends have been taught by him?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yep. Your dad teaches me, or he taught me, whatever.
Yep. Yeah, and so, the true story is the reason why I play guitar is as Mom and Dad got established, wanted to go back up north. So I was 5 when they bought a lot outside of Wyerton, and it was a bush lot. And so they would build the cottage, and my dad's next youngest brother, Uncle Bob, who's also sadly passed, they'd build the cottages at the end of the lot, or the end of the road. And then at night, campfire, guitars came out.
Cool.
And I thought my Uncle Bob was Johnny Cash. I was a little kid. He just had such a great voice.
Wow.
And Mom and Aunt Dorothy and Dad, they would all sing and harmonize.
Yeah.
And
were they writers too? Was he a writer? Just played whatever.
Yep, just played. Neither one of them could read music.
Oh, wow.
And just played.
Just by ear.
Yep, just played.
Self-taught kind of thing.
Yeah,
wow.
Dad took a few lessons, he said, but yeah, he was just
So that's how music came to you. You still got the guitar.
Yeah, I have a lot of my dad's guitars. Dad passed in 2016, but yeah.
Do you have a number of how many you've got here?
I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Does some just hang there and not get played?
Oh, no, I play all of them.
Really?
Yeah, and I built most of them. So they're not worth anything. Yeah, the John Deere guitar, it's not even a real Fender Telecaster.
Well, tell that story, because that's an interesting story. How that you got hung up on.
Yeah. So, well, like I said, Mom and Dad had the cottage up in Wyerton, and then when Lisa and I got married, Mom and Dad retired and turned the cottage into a house. They bought the lot in front of it and put an addition on the original. It was a chalet style, small little cottage, and they put an addition on it. And so we would have family vacations up there.
Sure, why not? And
go up for weekends and, Thanksgiving and Easter and, all the family stuff. Just loved it up there. And so kids would fall asleep instantly, and Lisa would fall asleep. So I've got a 3.5 hour drive talking to myself. Well, the one time I saw somebody out working in the field, and he had a John Deere tractor, and I thought, wouldn't that be neat to have? And I love Telecaster style guitars. So I said, wouldn't it be neat to have a John Deere themed Telecaster guitar? I play country music.
Yeah. John Deere fits right in there.
Yep. So this was kind of the beginning of the internet, where you could go to like a website and get a phone number and call somebody. Right. So I found the custom shop phone number.
Yeah.
So I called and I said, hey, would you guys build a John Deere guitar? And so I called them back and I said, I think we got disconnected.
Right. They're like, who's this guy?
Yeah. So it was trademark infringement and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
they wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So, hey, there's Charlie.
Oh, hi, Charlie. Oh, there's company here. Yeah, you can stay.
How's it going, buddy? Oh, you get excited about the John Deere guitar too, don't you? Yeah, there you go. So, okay, be nice.
That's okay. So they wanted nothing to do with it.
No. So,
and all that.
So in the early 90s, Don Carter had made 2 bodies and 2 necks for my dad and I. And I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan. And so my first guitar that I built, Dad and I built together, mine was a clone of Keith Richards' guitar.
Oh, wow.
And Dad's was 1955 Thunderbird Red Telecaster. So I made a tribute one that looks like it. So I took the neck off of Dad's guitar because he wasn't using it. And I traded Don Carter some parts that I had laying around for a piece of wood that we made the body out of.
Right.
And so the first time that I painted it was actually trim-clad John Deere green.
Yeah.
And it looked kind of plain. So I thought, I'm kind of a hot rod guy. I'm into Sarnia Street Machines and Sarnia Street Cruisers. And so I thought, I should put flames on it. So did that. And then when I hit it with the clear coat, well, the different paints didn't like each other. No. So the whole thing orange peeled. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do? So I stripped it all right down. And it was pretty heavy with that paint on it. So I happened to be at Home Depot, and they said that they could make any color. Oh. So I talked to here's one of the cats. So then I talked to the girl at the counter, and I said, well, could you do a semi-transparent stain? Because the wood grain in that guitar was a pretty piece of wood. So she said, yeah, absolutely we can. And she said, what color do you want? And I said, John Deere green. She said, why? So I told her what I was doing, and she goes, well, you can't return it. I said, that's fine. Yeah. So I stained it, and then again, this was my sons were really. We
got a family going on.
Oh yeah, the herd, the herd of critters. So the boys were little, and so I was walking by their craft table, and there was Crayola glitter glue. Now I'm a huge Buck Owens fan, and Don Rich, and they played those sparkly Telecasters. And so I thought, well, I need a sparkly finish, but I had no idea what I was doing. So I just took Crayola glitter glue and dumped it on it. I banded it. And then just clear coated it. So that's the finish that's on it.
Is that right?
Yeah, wow. It's just, and the pick guard on it, the yellow pick guard was actually a sign that was in a warehouse.
The cat thinks you think that's a scratch?
Yeah, it could be. And that cat's name's Banjo.
Banjo Bandit.
Yep.
Who we got? This is Carter?
This is Charlie.
Or Charlie, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
And they're all fighting for your attention.
Yep. Yeah. When you leave, they'll want nothing to do with me.
Is that right? Eh? Yeah, they're jealous right now.
No, they're, yeah. We're animal lovers here. So
come here. So, I don't want you to knock that over. Not you.
Yeah, there they go.
Okay, you then.
Yeah. You're supposed to herd them, Charlie. Right. Yeah. So that's the story of that guitar.
That's cool.
And so the pickups that came out of one of my dad's guitar, he upgraded it, and I put it in the John Deere guitar because I didn't have any. And they sounded terrible in Dad's guitar, to be quite frank.
Oh.
And that's the guitar I play
all the time.
All the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've just been able to make it sound good and work.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Like it's why does one get? And the thing is, the wood of Dad's guitar is the exact same.
Mm.
So it's an alder body and a maple neck.
Wow.
So why did it sound different than that? And it's just, who knows?
But hey, it works.
Yep.
Don't have to know why all
Yep.
the time, right?
Yep.
Scott Manery and the Barn Burners.
Yes.
But there was some bands before the Barn Burners.
Yep. Yep. So when I first came back to town, I got my BA from Brock in theater and wanted to be a theater teacher. But again, that was the early 90s and you needed 100% experience because everyone wanted to be a teacher back then. So it was really, really hard to get into teachers college. And I was young. I was only 20 when I graduated. So I said to my mom and dad, I said, I'd like to take a year off and try the music thing. And then I'll go back, get my honors. And so I'm really just taking a year off.
Right.
So tried the music thing. That turned into, I need a car. Okay. Got a car. Now you need a real job. And then right. So, it just evolved into music has kind of helped me get jobs throughout. So put together the first band and I kid, Brian Cox is the drummer in the band and he was in a fantastic band called Damn Straight.
I remember.
So my first band was Edith Groove and we were a Damn Straight tribute band. Yeah. And I tell Brian that story because we would go see their show and then we would steal all their songs.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you already knew how to play them.
Yeah. So it was, their show worked. So why write your own?
It's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy a good one.
That's right.
There you go.
We went more country. They were more rock, but we went more country just because that's what my hands do. And that's, you're a singer.
Yeah.
I've got a vocal range of this, right? And so there are songs that just kind of fit in that.
Well, and you got to kind of know your place, like
exactly
what your skill level's at.
Yeah. Like I'm not going to do a John Lennon screamer because then I won't be able to sing for the rest of the night.
Right.
I'll blow my voice out.
Yeah.
So that was the first group, and that featured Paul King on drums and John Moore.
Oh, right.
That owns Junior Baker.
Yeah.
John, I hope he's still playing bass. He was a wonderful bass player and a beautiful vocalist. He had that nice high register, so he would do the harmonies. And so Paul had the chance, he works for Purelator. He had the chance to move up, but it meant he had to take kind of a split shift. So he said, you know what? Let's dissolve the band while we're all still friends.
Right.
And then, when life kind of settles out, maybe we get back together.
Sure.
So I was lucky enough that I auditioned and got in the 88s.
Yeah.
So played with them for about 5 years. Actually quit twice.
I forgot about that,
Yeah, I quit twice.
You quit?
I quit twice.
Why'd you quit?
Well, so while I was in the 88s, I started a band because I'm a country guy and I was not doing great in the 88s, I thought.
Yeah.
So started the Humbuckers.
Yep, I remember that.
And so about that time, I got married.
Mm-hmm.
Got a job at Shell.
Right. So
playing in 2 bands.
Right.
And we had a son.
Right.
Something had to give.
Right.
So I thought, you know
Couldn't
what?
get rid of the son, eh?
No. No. So I said to Chris Tompkins, who was kind of the leader, the leader of the band, and I said to CT, I said, I can't do it all, so I'm going to leave the band. And then a year later, I said, okay, now I really mean it this time. I have to go. I said, we had a bunch of dates. I said, that's my last show.
Yeah.
And whatever that date was. And he says, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
And so then stayed with the Humbuckers. And then, so what happened with the Humbuckers was I did all the booking, but 2 of the fellas in the band worked shift. So you'd get a call for a gig. Hey, can you play? Well, if they were working nights for $100 a guy, you're not turning down a shift, right?
No,
so, right. And at that time, the Humbuckers were at Al Hill's studio, and we recorded our debut album. And it took us forever because the guys worked shift and just, we didn't know what we were doing and learning and, right. And coming up with the money to pay for sessions and stuff. So, I had all the songs written, that make up Tractor Caster, my first album. So I said to the fellas in the Humbuckers, I said, while we're in the studio, can we record these? I'll pay for the studio time. Would you guys just play? Because we played a lot of those songs in the Humbuckers. And they said, look, we don't have time to do our own project. Why don't you put together a side project? So Dave Scarlett and I can't remember where it was. It was either the Bell or Ups and Downs. But he came in one night and said, "Hey, love your picking," and just we're talking music, and he says, "I'd love to play some music with you sometime." I said, "You really mean that?" And I had a cassette.
Careful what you wish for, Dave.
Yeah, it was that long ago. I had a cassette
Yeah, right.
of the songs that I had written. I said, "Would you listen to this?" So I gave him my phone number. He listened to it, and then we put together the Barn Burners. And so what started to happen was people would call. I want to book the band. Which one?
Yeah.
So I made the choice, and
but that's a part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you can play in those bands and leave on good terms as friends. A lot of time, it's just life happens, and that's all part of. Now here you are, you're Scott Manery and the Barn Burners.
Well, we started out as just the Barn Burners, but it turns out there's a fella in like Cleveland or something that he had registered or trademarked the name of the Barn Burners, because Levon Helm from the band, actually it was Levon Helm and the Barn Burners, and this guy put a cease and desist on him.
Wow.
And on me, said, "I'm going to sue you," and I'm going, "Well, there's nothing to take."
Right.
so we just stuck my name out in front.
Scott Manery and the Barn Burners.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Interesting.
I wish it had a different name, but it's too late now.
You don't like being about Scott Manery.
Well, because it's not.
Yeah, no. Well, no, I get it.
Right? Without Brian and Dave, I'm a lonely.
But there's all of that, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers,
sure.
All of that sort of stuff. It's just a brand, I think, more.
I guess.
I get where you're coming from.
Because it's a complete three-way decision on everything.
And it's interesting you say that, because it's believable that you say that, because in your shows you can see, obviously you're the front man, but everybody in the band gets the spotlight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And well, Brian was the front man for Damn Straight. So if I'm changing guitars, he can take over. And Dave has the gift of the gab too. Like, he can work a crowd really well as well. So it's nice. And what we've started to do on the last couple of albums is I said to the fellas that, hey, in our live show, everybody sings.
Yeah.
Why is it just on our CDs is just me? Like, that's kind of arrogant. So Brian's got a couple songs and Dave's got a couple songs now. And it's more just to showcase their talent, but also, we've got that little piece of plastic or MP3 or whatever you want to call it, that shows we exist. And Brian and I have written some songs together, and Dave, Brian and I have written some songs together too. And I'm really proud of those. It's fun.
And you've got a proud moment there too, with your dad plays on one of the albums.
Yeah. So on the very first album, Dad plays guitar on The Railroad Man and My Grandpa's a Hero. And it was kind of funny. My dad only played in the basement until he retired, and then they played at the Legion all the time. And my mom could do anything. Dad needed someone to help keep tempo, because he played in the basement by himself for so long that his timing was terrible.
Right. So
Mom played the bass to keep him in time. She had never played bass before. She just picked it up and learned how to do it.
Right.
And then she learned how to play piano, because when they played at the Legion, the piano player would take a break, and so Mom would just sit down and hammer away on chord. Yeah, just amazing.
It really is.
Yeah. And so Dad worked really, really hard to come in and do the sessions when we recorded that first album. And true story, I forget which one we did first, and it doesn't matter, because he just nailed the guitar part.
Yeah.
First take.
Wow.
But he was very insecure about his guitar playing, and he
wasn't happy with it.
No. He played the piece, and we went, "Wow, that was great." He goes, "Okay, guys, well, if you don't want me here, just, and he got all insecure.
Right.
And so Adam Miner recorded the first album, and I give Adam full credit for this.
He does a great job.
I give him full credit for this. He could see that my dad was embarrassed and insecure about this. So he says, "Okay, well, Brian," that was my dad's name. He said, "Well, Brian, maybe let's tighten up the intro." And he never hit record. No. But he had my dad play it a couple times, just so he felt like he
had accomplished.
But what you hear on Railroad Man and My Grandpa's a Hero is Dad's first take.
Wow.
And Railroad Man, I don't even play guitar on it.
Really?
Yeah. His guitar part's suited the
Just
song
did it,
so
right.
well that we just deleted mine.
So did he hear it?
Oh, yeah.
And did he?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever let him in on the trick?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Years later.
Yeah, years later.
Yeah, years later.
Was he mad at you?
No, no. He
He's
just
like, "What?"
he got that kind of aw shucks. Oh, he's an old
Yeah.
farm boy, right? So he just kind of aw shucks.
Yeah.
I think he thought it was pretty cool. But
It is. And
yeah.
it's cool for you because you've got
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
memory.
He's
You can
gone,
go
but I've
back.
got him forever,
Right.
right? And my oldest boy, Keith, plays piano a bit, and he's on a couple of songs. We had him play piano
Nice.
on a couple of songs. Aiden can play drums, but music's not really, his passion, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Just because I love it doesn't mean they have to.
No, they got to do their thing.
Yeah, he's a sports trivia guy, and he knows all the stats and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now you made a video
Mhm.
that was John Deere tractor,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And
Out at McKellar's farm. That was a lot
right,
of fun.
yeah. Tell that story because that's like you were just going out there to
Oh,
just a few shots here with your tractor.
well,
What happened?
so as I mentioned earlier, I work at Shell, and one of my first jobs was I ran the warehouse. So brought in a lot of parts, sent a lot of parts over, and so our customs company that would clear and bring in goods for us, I talked to this woman named Shelley often. And so I had just been kind of building the first version of the John Deere guitar. And so Shelley and I were shooting the breeze. We did work stuff. And then, what are you doing this week? And I said, well, my band's playing at the Bell and I'm bringing out my new John Deere guitar. And it got dead silent on the phone. And I said, yeah, don't laugh. She goes, do you know my last name? I said, Shelley, I've talked to you for years. I have no idea what your last name is. Podolinsky.
No way. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she brought the whole Podolinsky crew to the Bell to see us play that one night.
Wow.
And then I was driving home one day, and it was in the fall, and there was like 3 or 4 combines, all John Deere.
Okay.
And it was out of my mouth before I could stop myself. I said, look at those pretty green tractors in the field.
Right.
And I wrote the song as kind of a joke.
Sure.
And it's done really,
Well, you have the
really,
guitar.
yep. It's done really, really well. So I said to Shelley, I said, I'd like to make a music video for this. I said, could we go to the dealership and just, I could maybe walk in front of a couple of the tractors or sit on one and, and so Mike and Shelley got a hold of the McKellars and said, no, we can one up this.
Yeah.
And boy, they just kept bringing tractors and it was like a car show, right?
Is that
they
right?
knew how to stage the tractors and how to have everything look really good. Yep. It was so much fun. I think I ordered like a dozen pizzas and just bring your friends and neighbors. And it was fun.
Let's make a video.
Yeah. And Ken Swirsky made the video for us. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
And it's gotten, I don't know how many views, but it's huge, right?
For us, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's over 30,000, I think.
Yeah.
But, it's a fun song.
Speaking of projects, as of recent, Penny Candies, and it's in the top 10 now.
Yeah, we're at number 9.
This crawled from the bottom.
Yep.
And every week. And your goal originally was just to be in the top 40?
I'm thrilled it made the list. And then once it made the list, I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a top 40 out of this?
Yeah.
Because it's a very traditional song, and it's a true story. It's written about, as I said, Mom and Dad built the cottage.
Right.
So we drive up Friday nights, grab milk for breakfast, and then Saturday we would go into town. Dad would get lumber and supplies to build the cottage. My sister and I would get our allowance, and we would go to the candy store,
right,
and Lloyd's Smoke Shop, which is still there. And my grandfather, my mom's dad, Lloyd's Smoke Shop, there was, ice cream and pop and comic books, and candy. And then in the back was a pool hall. So my grandfather was not allowed to smoke, but he did. So grandma was grocery shopping, and my grandfather would be in the back room where the pool tables are, telling dirty jokes and smoking cigarettes.
Right,
so we would go in there, and then my sister and I would go down to the candy store and buy penny candies.
Which where do you buy penny candies anymore?
You can't, right? So
that's a memory.
Yeah. And Shane Gousset, that plays the mandolin and the fiddle, is nominated for Specialty Instrumentalist of the Year at the CCMAs.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and his wife, Stacy Lee, she was with Lace as well and sings in Western Swing Authority, Shane and Stacy's band. She sang the harmonies.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
so I'm just thrilled that it's So if you would be so kind as to go to
Yeah, don't tell everybody how this works.
So well, if you go to my Facebook page, I've got the link, and I need your email support to vote for the song. It'd be great to see how high it could go.
Why not number one?
Wow.
Why not number one?
Well,
that's a big clue, folks.
Yeah, well, it'd be great, but
yeah.
Pop country is very, no pun intended.
Wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to interrupt you there. So that's your father talking now. Based on what you've told me, like, oh well, I don't know if that was that good or whatever. Like, I don't hear you going like, yeah, we can do this. Like, well, like. Yeah,
but it's too traditional, right?
Maybe that's why it's working.
Maybe I don't know. I guess if
you want to know why it's working, so you can write another one.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But seriously, I don't think you give yourself enough credit. I mean, but that's who you are, and that's your dad talking, right?
Yeah, probably
in a nice way. And but look at what it's done so far.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You have a huge fan base, not just in Canada and just around Sarnia, like in Canada. And then for a while, you played like rodeos and stuff over in the States, right? And so you have a huge fan base there still?
Yep. They keep asking us to come back. And now that COVID is over, all of us, our passports have expired.
What's COVID?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, we did a bunch of shows over there, and they've asked us to come back. And so we were just thankfully super busy this summer.
Yeah.
But drowned, but
right.
It's rained.
I know.
Our last 3 shows, I've got.
Yeah, we were in Bothwell and you got things. So,
yeah. I've got gear all over the floor here, folks. That's
drying out.
Yeah. I got to replace some stuff. And thank God Rick Steves fixed the John Deere guitar for me. It had some issues.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it got rained on pretty bad. So.
Talk about Rick Steves, because you've mentioned him before in our conversations, and like you have a lot of respect for him.
Oh,
like,
huge!
He's an amazing guitar player.
Oh, huge! And when I came back to town and started playing with Edith Groove, was the first band.
Right.
Rick was open arms, helping us, teaching us, and showing us how to do it, and that's kind of our role now. That none of us are going on the road. We're too old and too ugly.
Wow.
So like young groups, like a few years ago, Eric Etheridge, he opened for us at Captain Kids Days.
Yep.
And he came up to us. Yeah, you were the MC for that. And he came up to us backstage after sound check and all of that stuff, and just super nice guy. And he says, "How did you guys make it?" And I said, "Oh, son, we've got you fooled."
Right. It's working.
So just shared everything that I've learned from the guys like Rick and Mike Stevens and folks like that it's pass it on. Right. And now we've done a bunch of shows with Brothers Wild. And
they're amazing.
They're fantastic. They're doing it right.
Yeah.
We're thrilled to be.
They're going to climb the charts too. They're on the charts.
Yeah. Well, they had a #1 hit a couple of weeks ago on that
right.
Canadian Independent Country Countdown. And we're doing a show with them August 25th at the Aeolian Hall in London. Super great guys and writing great songs and doing it right. And so anything I've learned, you share that, right? Because
pass it on.
And if we're living in Sarnia, the great thing is it's a small town. If we're lucky enough, we'll get to play with each other. Right?
Yeah, right.
And make music and just share. Yeah, which is fantastic. So I wish them the best, and go see them because they won't be around long. They're going to take off.
Yeah, I interviewed them a few years ago, and then I just saw them at where were they? Captain Kid Days.
Yeah, and they were at Boots and Hearts before.
They were and Revelry. They were at Revelry as well. So I mean,
so they're doing fantastic.
People are like, they've got choices going on right now. So they're making some smart ones. That they've got a huge, like family support and all that.
Oh yeah.
How important is that? As far as, I mean, that's got to be huge.
That's how you start.
Right.
You need friends and family to support you until you can get your name and your show out there. Right. And so when people see them and go, their harmonies are fantastic. Like Danny Ainsworth, they've added to the band. Great bass player, great harmony vocalist. Right. Like, so, and you can't beat family harmonies either. Right. So once you see that show, it's like, oh, okay, now I've heard that one song that, I as a fan love. I go to see that, right? And they have a few songs that I just love. And that's, but you need to get your foot in the door. So you need your family and your friends to come out to
Well,
those early shows.
Yeah.
And then that's when the music can kind of get your name out there.
Mm-hmm.
And with what they're doing on the charts and videos.
Well, you've never had a problem with that, getting family and friends out. The problem that you have is letting people go home because like you just don't stop. You just go. And didn't somebody shut the power off on you one time?
Yeah. When we
was that the theater or something?
No, that's that happens every year when we play in Petrolia at the street dance.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Dave Menzies turns the lights on. Yeah. And
go home.
And we never have a set list.
There's nobody there anymore.
Yeah. Well, no, they're still there, but he wants them to go home. So, Manery, shut it off.
I do remember a couple of times. It might have been a Captain Kid Day thing, and I remember there was, I think Cheeky Monkey had put something on at the Imperial Theater one time, and I was the MC there too, and it was like
that was a fun show. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a fun show because you guys were climbing all over Dave's bass, and he was throwing things at you. Whatever you guys do to have fun.
Yeah.
Does that just come natural between the three of you guys?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's just there's nothing.
It's not scripted.
No. There are certain songs that work together. Like if you play one, it naturally progresses into another. But we never have a set list. We try and read the crowd, and if it's a dancing crowd, okay, we'll play a bunch of dancing songs, and then. I've been really guilty up until recently of not knowing enough slow songs because people want to slow dance as well.
Yeah.
So we've learned a bunch of those.
All the girls I've loved before.
Yeah, and all of that kind of. They're not fun to play.
Travis.
They're not fun to play. You got to up tempo. Barn burners. That's right. We play barn burners.
We're burning down the house here.
Yeah.
We're burning down the barn.
Yeah. So I think our record for the longest set that we ever did was about 5.5 hours. And the funny thing is,
your fingers weren't bleeding.
No.
Wow.
So the funny thing is, when on the ride home, we're like, "Oh, we forgot to play," and "Oh, we forgot to play."
We just played 5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, we forgot to play that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm guilty. I don't play enough original stuff, so I'm trying to get better at playing the original songs.
Yeah.
That's maybe the insecure artist.
Well, I think, maybe people want to hear, especially if you're playing at a bar, they want to hear something they recognize.
Exactly.
But Platinum Blonde, I talked to them one time.
Yeah.
And they said, like, they started out as a cover band.
Yep.
And they would just start throwing in the originals, but they wouldn't say this is an original.
Exactly.
They would just play it, and then people would come up later and go, play that one you played, last week or whatever, and then all of a sudden it was just all about them. So
and what I tried to do early on in my career as a songwriter was, if we had a song that was in the set that worked well and it had a certain tempo, I would try and write something of that same kind of tempo, so I didn't need to play that one. I could play my own.
Yeah.
And because if that song tempo worked and people were dancing to it, then okay, let's have our own.
Yeah.
And kind of grew from there.
You've progressed into radio DJ.
Yes.
Here on CHOK.
Yeah. So Sue Storr called me, and it was just literally at the beginning of COVID, and said that, and that's when CHOK had switched back to the country format. And they said, "Hey, we'd like to do an oldies show. Would you do it?" And I said, "I don't know anything about radio." And she goes, "Well, you just tell us the songs you want to play, and then you come in and talk, and away you go."
Yeah.
So I get to pick the songs, and so the band obviously wasn't playing because of COVID. So I thought, okay, well, I can. Sue said, "We need Canadian content, so you can play one of your songs every week." So I thought,
okay,
well, that keeps the band's name out there, right? While we're not playing. So I think we're in year 4.
I was going to say, is it 3-4 years?
I think we're in year 4 now. It's funny.
What have you learned doing it?
Lots. Lots. Those early shows were bad. I have a huge, even bigger respect for Gary Connors.
Oh yeah, Gary.
Right. So when we first started putting out our music, he would bring us in and he'd play our stuff, and Gary was alone in the studio, but when you were listening, it made it feel like there was a whole audience. Yeah, he was there by himself.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to keep that kind of energy alive of how you do that. And the producers, Sean Gladwish and Rob Jenkins and Sue, have really, really helped me and coached me and stuff. And it's,
So do you just do you record it here at home?
no, I go into
You go
the
into the
studio.
studio,
Yeah,
record it?
go into the studio.
Do
So
you have to edit it, or do they do
they fix my mistakes.
Yeah, right.
And,
We're letting the secrets
out
of the bag right now.
So what I'll do is early in the week, I'll pick the songs that I want to play for the week, based on, and what I'm trying to do is there's tons of oldie shows, right? So I'm trying to kind of focus a little bit on the musicians that made some of the music and some of the songwriters to kind of, and maybe hopefully educate some of the younger folks that are coming up that, okay, here's where this came from.
Yeah.
And share the history of it. And to me, that means a lot to kind of pass that on.
Yeah.
So instead of
and you're having fun.
Oh yeah. Just
fun.
trying to do something different.
Sure. Make it unique.
Yeah. Because Leslie has her show on 107 at the same time.
Right.
And it's a call-in show. Okay. So I'm not good enough to be able to do that and work all the computer stuff. So, and
you need a producer in there with you.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So this is the format that we've chosen, and so far it's working.
Yeah.
Hopefully people like it.
I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, "Oh, Scott Manery, yeah, he does that radio show." Like, so yeah, people are paying attention.
Yeah, that's great. That's good to hear.
If it's working, keep going.
Yep.
Right.
Well, just try and do something different.
Yeah. You've done some traveling, and talk about it's slipping me right now. You're down in Virginia.
Yep.
You went down there.
Yep. Mike Stevens and Raymond McLean took me down to the Carter Fold, the McLean family band. They were the first bluegrass band to play at Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's level.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. So
cool, actually.
Raymond and Mike had a duo back then, and they caught one of the humbucker shows actually. And Raymond came up and said, "Scott, I really like your guitar playing. You have that old sound." And he says, "There's a fella that I need you to meet." So they took me down to Hilton, Virginia, and I got to meet Jerry Hensley, who's June Carter's second cousin.
Oh, wow.
So when Luther Perkins passed, he was Johnny Cash's guitar player. Jerry joined Johnny Cash's band. So he played guitar on One Piece at a Time, Ghost Riders in the Sky, that kind of era.
Yeah.
And then eventually Jerry did leave Johnny's band, but he became the band leader for the Statler Brothers for 25 years.
Wow.
So I got to have a guitar lesson with him.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Was that surreal for you?
Well, I laughed to Mike and Raymond. I said, "You guys must think I'm dull-witted." And they just looked at me. I said, "All I say is wow."
Wow. Well,
so,
what else is there?
Well, yeah. So Jerry pulls out this amplifier. He says, "Carl Perkins gave me this amplifier in 1969. I go, "Wow. You want to play through it?"
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Jerry played just wonderful guitar, and I had taken an electric guitar down, and I just felt like, here, I'm done. There's nothing I can do. And if you Google or YouTube, actually, Johnny Cash's last performance was at the Carter Fold, and that's Jerry Hensley that's playing the electric guitar.
Oh, okay.
And that was the first time an electric guitar was ever allowed at the Carter Fold.
Really?
It's all acoustic. All acoustic.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Johnny was blind, and he passed probably days after that.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's hard to watch, but as a music fan, you should watch it.
To be around that.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah.
Kind of around that whole time.
Yeah.
Like
and so June's sister Jeanette, she would play the auto harp, and her brother Joe would make animal noises. That's what he did on stage. Yep. So
like cows and stuff? Or
Yep.
Really?
Yep. He had this whole bit worked out, and it was hysterically funny.
Wow.
So I sat on the stage at the end of the show with Jeanette, and we ate ice cream.
Nice.
And so I thought, I have to buy a shirt. So I bought a shirt. And literally this is like a Quonset hut tin shed in the side of a mountain. And it was quarter sawn, big timbers, or seats out of buses that people sat on. And it was just bulbs hanging down for lights. So you couldn't really see all that great. The stage was lit, but Mike and I got back to our hotel room, and he starts laughing at me because the shirt that I bought for the Carter Fold was pink.
Scott.
so they called me Pinky for the rest
Oh
of
yeah, okay.
rest
Was
of
the
show.
only one left or what?
It was dark. I thought I was red.
dark.
I thought it was red, and I bought a pink shirt.
You
Not
still-
that there's anything wrong with
No,
it.
no. You still have the shirt?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Just-
absolutely. I
Do you
do.
wear it out?
No,
No.
it's too small. That was pre-COVID.
Right.
Doesn't fit anymore. So, yeah.
Speaking of COVID, that's a great story, by the way. Thanks for sharing that. But COVID, that sucked for you?
Yep.
Why?
So, couldn't play.
Right.
And so I started doing the Facebook Live thing because I saw that other folks were doing it. I thought, okay, well, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked from home, so this was my office. So I'm down here like 8 hours a day for work.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I wanted to do was come back down here to play guitar. Right?
Yeah.
It got depressing, and
Is that right?
yeah, I had a hard time with it because I'm a people person. I need to feed off the energy of people, even if it's send my job.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, people really enjoyed the Facebook Live stuff that I did.
I watched. It was
but
fun.
it was
And
tough.
they were 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was tough because there's no one to feed off of, right?
Yeah.
Like it was fun when the cats and the dog would come in, and
Room
people,
noise.
and people would laugh a bit about that and stuff. But yeah, I'm not a solo act. I need to be hidden in a band.
I can relate. Teaching that line.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
I
it's tough.
was teaching live streaming, and I thought,
Yeah.
I'm going to live stream a live streaming class. Perfect.
Yeah, it's hard.
No,
It's hard.
let's sound
Yeah.
my own voice.
Yeah, to the people that are good at it. Hats off to you.
Like, I wonder. You talk about Gary Connors. I wonder how he would have handled that. Do you think he would have been okay? Like,
Yeah.
because he could talk to the room. Right?
Yeah,
With
yeah.
1,000 people there.
Yeah, we needed a Gary.
Yeah.
We did. We really and truly did. He was great at it, and
Yeah.
just took you out of whatever you were feeling, right? And took you into the song.
Yeah. Let's talk about the business side of the music, and this can often be a unfriendly conversation. I ask many of the musicians in the interviews,
Yep.
Are musicians undervalued?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that?
I don't know. That's another thing that if you had the answer to that, you'd be
A little bit of both sides. Like
Yeah.
I talk like the bar owner or the people hiring, whatever, and then
Yeah.
the musician too, because
Well, it's always been cyclical, right? Like, so you've DJ'd,
Yeah.
you've done karaoke, so okay, so that will be popular for a while,
Yep.
and then the court of public opinion will get tired of that, and
Yep.
they'll want to see a band. Okay, well
Mhm.
then maybe they'll want to see a rock band, so that'll be popular, and then okay, well now pop comes in, and then and that's just been the evolution of music,
Yeah.
right? And it doesn't matter the genre really. Like
No.
like even if you look at country right now, like I said, pop country is huge. So, a song
and I
like
don't get it.
so a song like Penny Candies is that maybe cyclical, and maybe like do
Maybe.
you put one out now, and that it's hard to say, right?
Mhm.
Like Jelly Roll and guys like that, that's kind of defining the sound. So,
But musicians are getting paid the same today
Yeah.
that they were 30 years ago.
well, and now post-COVID, what is the business model?
Yeah,
None of us
well,
know. Like
yeah.
streaming has killed it, right? Like,
Mhm.
we used to make, believe it or not, and sadly, when we had our Coolie Cups, that was our biggest profit margin.
Right.
And I make more on a Coolie Cup than I do my music,
Yeah, and that's
right? Like I get a check from streaming and all of that stuff about every 6 months, and it's like $20. And you see this list of all of the downplays or downloads and streams and all that stuff, and you're getting 0.00001 cent.
Yeah. Something
tough.
wrong there.
It's tough. Well, so we just got to figure it out. Like you can get bitter and mad, so.
But even the big guys, like I remember seeing, I'm getting old, Aerosmith, Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
Talking to Joe Rogan about how Spotify is just not paying.
No.
So why? But then if you're not on Spotify to
Yeah.
be found,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, yeah, you guys, you got to be there. or
Yeah.
nothing.
Well, and the sad reality is you can get any song for free
Mhm.
now, right? So.
Oh, so even DJ, and I think like I wouldn't want to DJ now. Number one, put a gun to my head, tell me to name a top 40 song. I'd
Well,
say pull the trigger because I haven't
yeah.
done it.
Yeah.
But I used to I was cassettes.
Yep.
And then I went to CDs.
Yeah.
And then computer, digital.
Yep.
Right, where I still paid for my music. because I took it off the CD onto the
Yep.
computer.
Yep.
And then now, like, plug an iPad in, away you go, and you've got, as long
Yep.
as you got an internet connection.
And anyone can do it, right? I
Well,
went to a wedding and there
don't-
was no DJ. They
Yeah.
played it off their phone.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it wasn't as much fun because the DJ can read the room,
yeah, that's right.
right?
That's
And
right.
and a good
People fight over, well, no, I want
Yeah.
that song. And I'm like, no. You
Yeah.
got to have somebody there doing that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might as well just have a jukebox there. But
Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. So, we've got Penny Candies and we've got a few other original songs that are ready to go. But Brian, Dave, and I were like, then what do we do?
Mhm.
What do we do with the album, right?
Right.
So we're gonna keep playing this summer and really get the songs tight, and then the recording process I enjoy, right? We do it here in this room. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Yeah.
The last 2 albums have been recorded in here. So we'll do the next one here as well.
Cool.
And
You just record it. You don't just record off the floor, though. Like you.
so we've grown our recording process. We're a bar band, right? So
Yep.
we know that that's how we play best. So what we'll do is, this is my drum kit, but Brian will bring in his kit when we
Okay.
do recording.
Right.
We'll mic
That makes sense.
we'll mic the drums because it's his sound, right? So
Yeah.
he's got it tuned and the way that he wants it to sound. So then what we'll do is I'll take my guitar and plug it direct into the computer.
Oh,
And
wow.
Dave's bass will go direct into the computer, and I'll stand out in the hallway to record the vocals that go direct into the computer as
Oh.
well. And for that first take, the only thing that we're keeping is, like, we'll play the song a few times, and when we get one that we feel, okay, that really represents the song,
Mhm.
okay, great. And all we've kept is the drums. And then we'll play the drum and they call it scratch. So it'll be a scratch vocal, scratch guitar,
Yeah, right.
scratch
Okay, makes
bass.
sense.
And then so Dave will come in and do the bass next and get a good sounding bass tone and all of that stuff. And then we'll add the extra instruments and things like
Mhm.
that, and harmonies and things like that. So that's been the process for the last 2 albums that we've done.
Wow.
Just
Yeah, again, it works.
gives it a live feel.
Yeah.
Because that's how we know how to play,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And we don't have the budget and the room and the microphones
Mhm.
to record it live. Everything would bleed in.
Mhm.
And Dave Scarlett, our bass player and vocalist, is he's the audiophile in the band.
Oh, yeah.
He loves to do the mixing and all of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and he's very good
Everybody's
at it.
got their part. Then.
Yeah, he's
Awesome.
very, very good at
If
it.
somebody came along and said, Scott, I got a deal for you. We're going to take you on the road.
I'd say have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do
Couldn't
it.
do it now.
I probably wouldn't do it. No.
Yeah.
No.
Why not? Family?
yeah.
That's, and that's a fair answer.
Well, I learned a lot from, and we got to open for some great bands at Bayfest and all of that, and seeing that lifestyle. I think the charm of our band is a lot of it comes from we want to play.
Yep.
We don't have to play.
Right.
Right. So
I totally get that philosophy.
Right. So we turned down a bunch of gigs at bars and stuff kind of earlier in, before we decided to kind of stay in Sarnia, like playing in London and stuff. There was back in the day, they would hand you the set list, play these songs.
Really?
You don't talk to the crowd. There's no drum solos. And I thought,
why am I
okay,
here?
I'm going to play the same songs that you had the band play the day before that they listened to in their car driving to the bar. To me, that just doesn't sound like fun. So,
and where's the entertainment value?
Well,
other than the song, but we don't want to keep hearing Mustang Sally.
Exactly. Right. Right. So playing those opening slots was great for us because we would play just our original stuff.
Okay.
Which helped out especially at the Bayfest, because it gave the CanCon content, right, for that. And it was great for us and it helped us sell CDs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of work. It's a lot and the competition out there is so tough that just,
fair enough.
There's guys way better than me.
Well, when if you went down that road and you stopped having fun, like I always say, get back to the fundamentals. the basics, but
Well,
have
exactly.
fun.
And I give Dave Scarlett credit for this. And he said, we started out with a couple of guitars and a couple of beers.
Right. And we're going to end that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what it'll be. Now, hopefully that's way down the line for
No
us.
end in sight, right?
Well, we hope not, but
Yeah.
we hope not. So,
Yeah.
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 But you never can tell, right?
Okay. And what's next?
So just keeping on, I guess,
Yeah.
really.
But I mean, if you got some projects in the box,
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you know,
So,
you don't have to tell us what they are, but you know, like.
Well, we've never been great at having a long-term business plan either. We're thrilled that people call and still want to book us.
Right.
But we do have some original songs that we want to get tight because I think they're really good. One is one that I've written, but as I was writing it, I knew right from the first note. We talked about vocal range.
Yeah.
This is a Brian song because it's in his range, and then there's another one that I've written that was kind of a creative writing exercise. It's called "Lion, Cheatin', Sad Old Country Songs."
Right.
And it's it's kind of a fun song, and we played it a few times, and it's gone over really well. So I would like to record those and really do those up well, and see.
We'll keep in your own.
And see.
You're really good at coming up with those hooks. Like, believe me when I lie to you.
That was Brian Cox.
Was it? Oh, really?
That was Brian Cox. Yeah.
Right.
So
believe me when I lie to you.
So the very first show, Brian's been with us 8 years now, and one of the very first shows we did was that Petrolia Street Dance.
Oh yeah.
So the three of us, and we're a bit of characters and stuff. So we're just jibber jabbering and shooting the breeze and being silly. And I forget how the story started, but Brian was setting his drums up, and he goes, "Yeah, that's like saying, believe me when I lie to you." And I went, "You've got 5 minutes to write that, or I'm stealing it."
Right.
And he went, "Take it." So he came up with that line, and I just wrote it around what he came up with.
And the stories are so true to heart and life, like penny candies. Everybody's got a candy store somewhere.
Yep.
The Railroad Man, which that's one of my personal favorites. And that's just. I get emotional when you play that song because you shared the story before.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah, and then just from the Balmoral, right?
Yep. Yep. So, we played, and it was written about our lead singer from the Humbuckers, Robin Butterfield, his dad Ed, who's since passed. But he was sitting at a table by the pool tables by the back door, just by himself, having a glass of beer.
And he was the Railroad Man.
He worked on the railroad, and he was a wonderful, wonderful singer. And he had one of the first 12-string acoustic guitars in town, and Ronnie Frey used to borrow it.
Ronnie Frey.
Yeah.
I love Ronnie Frey.
Yeah. So sometimes I will change the lyrics of the Railroad Man, the line about yodeled in a country band, still can today.
Right.
Yodeled in a country band with Ronnie Frey. I sometimes say that just for fun.
He's a great yodeler and harmonica player.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, just unbelievably talented musician.
Super, right?
Yeah.
He taught me how to yodel. Do you know that?
Nice.
Do you want to know how to do it?
Sure.
Do you yodel at all?
Poorly.
Me, poorly too. I'm not making a living out of this. Little.
Yeah.
Old. Lady. Who?
Little lady who?
Little lady who?
Well, I'll be darned.
Right?
I've been doing it wrong. Brian Setzer has a great version of Mystery Train where he yodels, so I try, and I get part
Ronnie Frey telling me that's how you yodel, and then you just change it. Little lady who?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Of course, he would do it
way better. Way better. I wasn't trying to be a Ronnie Frey. I should get back to see. Yeah. So many great conversations, Scott, and I thank you for your music, and when I say you, I mean the Barn Burners too, like for sharing that in the community and wherever, and
we're lucky to still get to do it. We just celebrated 18 years as a band.
Yeah, wow.
At the car show a couple weeks ago.
A lot of bands can't even come. It's like a marriage, right?
Yeah. Well,
well.
So I have been with Dave Scarlett longer than he's been with any of his wives. So we laugh about that.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah. So,
but you don't have to sleep with them.
No. No.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we've been really lucky that, keep your ears posted, folks, because in 2025 is our 20th anniversary, and it's also some milestones for the Sarnia Street Machines. So we've been in talks already to try and do something special. So
keep me posted on
yeah,
that. I
yeah,
want to be there
absolutely.
for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
we'll need your help with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we'll do that.
so-
That'll be so much fun.
Yeah, and it's raised a lot of money for Pathways
It
over
has.
the years,
It
which
has.
is, so I've been really lucky that the community has given me the stage to play on,
Mhm.
and we've been lucky enough to be a part of that stuff that we can give it back,
Yeah,
right, and help out. And that's, I think that's part of what has kept the band going,
Cool.
is that kind of positive energy that we get back.
Cool.
Yeah.
Scott Manery, thank
Great
you
to
so
see
much.
you.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Tell everybody when this radio show's on.
Sunday mornings from 9 till noon, CHOK 103.9.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. This has been a lot of fun. And I'll say it like I say every time, click the like and the love, but the most important button you can click is the share button, so we can share Scott Manery and all the people that I interview, share their stories. Well, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time right here in the show. Bye for now. Or toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Bye.